All right, guys. I had some extra time here. It's about 10 after 2, and I've pretty much finished up with most of the stuff I had to get done today. So I had some extra time. I wanted to go back, and I know I mentioned something on Google Classroom about you guys doing a great job on the last quiz, and you guys did. It was number 3, where a lot of people were doing a lot of good things, but when you get down towards the end, I think just about everybody missed a little trick that you can do to come up with an answer that's much more simplified than what you came up with. So I'm going to go through that guy. And like I said, I think it was Nick and Tori came really close to it. And then both of them made the same exact mistake at the very end. Okay, so here's the problem from number 3 on the quiz. Okay, and I know I took a look at it. Could I play around with it beforehand and do anything with it to make it simpler? And I can't, because I have this plus down below. So there's no way to split it up. Okay, so I just went right after the quotient rule. Okay, which obviously all you guys did that as well. Okay, all right, so we've got our sine of x plus 1 squared down below. Okay, so I take the denominator, sine of x plus 1, times the derivative of the numerator, x cubed cosine of x, minus the numerator, x cubed cosine of x, times the derivative of the denominator, sine of x plus 1, like that. Okay, all right, now bring the sine of x plus 1 down. Okay, and I'll bring my denominator down. All right, now with this guy, I have to use the product rule here because it's x cubed times cosine of x. Okay, so I go the first times the derivative of the second. So it'd be x cubed times the derivative of cosine is the opposite of sine, so the opposite of sine of x, plus the second cosine of x times the derivative of the first, and the derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. Okay. All right, I've got minus x cubed cosine of x. And then when I take the derivative of sine of x plus 1, okay, I just get cosine of x, like that. All right, so it looked like everybody was doing a good job with this. Everybody got to this point and beyond, okay? So I'm just going to clean this guy up a little bit and then clean this guy up. Okay, so I've got this sine of x plus 1, a binomial, and then this guy is going to be negative x cubed sine of x, and that would be plus 3x squared cosine of x, right there. Okay, minus this guy would be x cubed cosine squared of x, like that. Okay, all over sine of x plus 1 squared. All right, now you get to this point, and you know, I've got a binomial times a binomial. So I thought, well, why not just use the FOIL method on these two guys and see what happens? So first times first would give me negative x cubed sine squared of x. All right, outside times outside, okay, gives me 3x squared sine of x cosine of x. Inside times inside gives me negative x cubed sine of x. And then last times last, okay, gives me plus 3x squared cosine of x. And then I just bring this guy down, minus x cubed cosine squared of x, like that. Okay, all over sine of x plus 1 squared. All right, now, this is where I start looking at places where I can group things together and simplify things. And you guys were trying to do that, okay? And some of you did a really good, well, all of you did a good job of it. Some of you did a little bit better than others, but All of you did a good job. Okay, it's just that it's this trick right here where I think that everybody missed. How about this guy right here? And group together with this guy. And you say, well, why would I do that? Well, notice that they have a common factor of negative x cubed. And if I group them together and pull that GCF out, notice I'm left with sine squared plus cosine squared, which from our Pythagorean identity is 1. So let's group these guys together, okay, and factor out a negative x cubed. And so I'd be left with sine squared of x, and then this would be plus cosine squared of x, like that. Okay, because I know that's equal to 1. Okay, then I start looking for other things, and I think to myself, okay, can I group things together and factor out a GCF, and when I do that, form a sine x plus 1, okay? So I'm thinking this guy here and this guy here. Notice they would have a GCF of 3x squared cosine of x. Okay, so I'd be left with sine of x plus 1. Okay, so group this guy here with this guy and factor out the GCF, which is 3x squared cosine of x. And when I factor it out here, I'm just left with sine of x. Okay, and when I factor out it here, I'm just left with 1, like that. And then I have this Lone Ranger all by himself, minus x cubed sine of x. All right, now I know I want to split all these up, okay? And in the end, I can actually combine them back together, but I'll split them all up now. Okay, so they're all over sine of x plus 1 squared, sine of x plus 1 squared, and sine of x plus 1 squared, like that. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Well, this guy becomes negative x cubed times 1, so that just goes here. Sine of x plus 1 squared. Okay, here I can factor off, or I can cancel off a sine of x plus 1 and a sine of x plus 1 right here. Okay, so I get 3x squared cosine of x over sine of x plus 1, like that. Okay, and then here I get a minus, okay, x cubed sine of x all over sine of x plus 1 squared. Okay, so far so good. Now I got to here and I thought to myself, well, these two guys have the same denominator, so why not combine them into one fraction, okay? And so I'd have these two combined into one fraction and then that guy. And so I combine these two right here, so I get negative x cubed minus x cubed sine of x, and that's all over sine of x plus 1 squared. And then obviously this guy's by himself. Now, when I first looked at this, I thought, yeah, that's probably about it. And then I looked at it again, and I noticed something. Don't I have a GCF of negative x cubed here? So why not factor that out? And when I do that, notice I get 1 plus sine of x. Uh-oh, that's a good thing. Over sine of x plus 1 squared. Okay, bring this guy down. 3x squared cosine of x all over sine of x plus 1. Now, isn't 1 plus sine of x the same as sine of x plus 1? So I can cancel them off. and I get negative x cubed over 1 factor of sine of x plus 1, okay, plus 3x squared cosine of x over sine of x plus 1. And notice I can combine them into one fraction because they have the same denominator. Okay, so we could write negative x cubed plus this, or this minus x cubed, doesn't make any difference. I think I wrote it as 3x squared cosine of x minus x cubed all over sine of x plus 1. Now granted, you have a GCF of x squared up above that you could factor out if you wanted to, but it doesn't really do anything. You could do it if you wanted to. And so you might present your answer as x squared times 3 cosine of x minus x all over sine of x plus 1. But notice I can't do anything. Okay, so either of these two guys. Okay, now, like I said, everybody except Tor and Nick got to this point right here and then started looking for ways to group things together. But nobody considered this guy and this guy to get this, other than Tor and Nick. And they considered that, and then they made a real bonehead mistake down here, okay, the same mistake, okay? And so they came real close to having the answer, but they were just slightly off. But like I said, I thought all of you did a real good job with this problem, okay? It's just that little trick here to get to this, okay, that very few of you saw, okay? So I'll upload this guy. Hopefully it helps you out, okay? And I'll be making some more videos tomorrow.